host here. Now to help us focus on the fundamentals behind the technical, I've got Juan Leon, Senior Research Crypto Analyst at Bitwise, joining us this morning. Good to have you here, Juan. Welcome. Let's begin where we just left off with the move up this fall. Bitcoin futures back above 40K in anticipation of a spot Bitcoin ETF, and that it will be approved, which you think has potential to be the most successful ETF launch of all time. Tell us why.
Hi, Ben. Great to be here with you. Yeah, we are very excited. Bloomberg analysts put the odds of a Bitcoin ETF approval at above 90% early next year. We're very excited about that. And we think if that happens, one of our predictions for next year is that Bitcoin will set new highs with the launch of this ETF. We think that happens for two main catalysts, one on the demand side and one on the supply side. On the demand side, a spot Bitcoin ETF being approved, it unleashes a wave of new capital. We think estimates range between the AUM being brought into spot Bitcoin ETFs anywhere from 30 billion to 150 billion over the next 5 years. That's a huge wave of new capital that will increase the demand for Bitcoin and therefore the price. If you think about the distribution of wealth in America, about 20% of that wealth is managed self-directed by individuals. Another 40% of it is managed by institutions, pension funds, endowments, et cetera. And the other 40% is managed by financial advisors. Up until this point, it's largely been the case that mostly just retail individuals have been able to access Bitcoin because large institutions and financial advisors have generally, for compliance reasons, not been able to access the asset class in a very easy way. And so we think that a spot Bitcoin ETF, and from our surveys of financial advisors and large institutions, that is the vehicle that they are looking to in order to be able to access the asset class. So that means 80% of the wealth in America will finally be able to access Bitcoin through a spot ETF if it gets approved. So that's on the demand side. Then on the supply side,
Juan, real quick, I want to stick with the demand side before we get into the supply side, because I've got a follow up for that, because I completely agree with you. Access to the retail client has been somewhat limited, but I would argue partially due to the fact that we've seen a significant amount of volatility associated with the product, right? So that kind of scares away a lot of retail clients like myself, for example, a smaller retail type trader. I just don't really like to stomach the volatility associated with this product. Does an ETF kind of minimize some of that volatility in addition to bringing in some of those retail names? Does that sort of lower some of the intensity associated with trading it?
Well, perhaps. It is the case that generally institutional capital is longer term focused than retail individuals. And so with the significant volatility that Bitcoin has seen historically, you do have traders that are more short-term oriented in the markets. Now, with institutional capital coming in through a Bitcoin ETF, you'll see probably longer-term allocations. That may dampen some of the volatility. We still think Bitcoin will continue to be a volatile asset as it emerges into a store of value asset in the world. But even now, if you look at the chart of volatility of Bitcoin over time since its inception, it has been dropping over time, even though it's still quite significant, as we saw in 2022.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a catch-22 in some ways, right? Because the volatility in some ways is what's brought interest into Bitcoin, yet it kind of scares people away. So it'll be, I'll be curious to see how the ETF plays out here and the role that it takes ultimately. Talk to us about the role that AI has played, or the role you expect AI to play in Bitcoin.
Yeah, we think AI, crypto are both some of the biggest technological paradigms of our generation. And we think there's a confluence between the two. AI has made huge strides this year with the launch of ChatGPT and all of these features. And we think it can come into the Bitcoin market. We think how it can work is, for example, AI assistants will become a big use to all of us in the world, helping us be more productive and more efficient with our time by being able to set up appointments, book flights, things like that. And we think as the native currency of the internet, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we think AI bots and assistants will start to use cryptocurrencies as the native payment throughout the internet to be able to make more efficiency gains for all of us here as we become more productive beings.
Juan, in your notes, which I commend you on, I love this, very detailed. You sent forth some predictions, some lofty predictions in many ways. Some would argue Bitcoin will trade above 80,000. You say, setting a new all-time high. Do you have any date, any timeline on that?
With the volatility of Bitcoin and the crypto market, hard to say exactly when, but we do think, as we were talking about the launch of Bitcoin ETFs, that will unleash a huge wave of demand. We think that'll drive Bitcoin to new all-time highs sometime next year, and will likely eclipse 80K based on the analysis that we see. But outside of the demand, the other side that I wanted to bring up is the supply, because that's a big catalyst as well for the price rise of Bitcoin. Next year, there will be something called the halvening.
We were talking about that earlier, yeah.
Where the supply of Bitcoin issued gets cut in half. And at current prices, that means about $7 billion worth of less Bitcoin in the market annually. So if you combine a reduction in supply and then the exponential increase in demand that we think from new capital coming in through ETFs, through the Bitcoin ETFs, we think that's what will take Bitcoin to new all-time highs and probably past 80,000 and seeing some numbers above that as well.
Juan, I love the bull case here. I mean, you've sparked my enthusiasm for the product in many ways. Again, you definitely have my antennas, my spidey senses tingling. Talk to me, though, about, you mentioned how you think Taylor Swift is going to launch an NFT to connect with fans in new ways. I have to let you know, our booker, Megan, who got you on the show, pushed back on that a little bit, basically talking about some of the association with FTX and the negative associations with that in terms of some of these big names and how they may not be willing to get involved in the near future.
Yeah, well, there certainly has been a pushback from the FTX debacle on the space. But NFTs are a new technology that has use cases that are really useful for creators such as and creatives such as Taylor Swift and musicians. There's already plenty of musicians that have got involved with NFTs. Rihanna is one of them. For example, her hit song that she performed at the Super Bowl last year, that was actually she then created an NFT out of that where fans were able to get streaming royalties off of her music. So that's what we think Taylor Swift may get involved with, is putting out NFTs where you can get exclusive access to merchandise, to concert tickets, to experiences, as well as be able to participate in the royalties of her music. She's a very big proponent of monetizing your creative rights and of sharing with your fans and engaging your fans. And we think NFTs is the perfect avenue for huge artists like Taylor Swift to be able to connect even further with her fans in a bigger way than even she does now.
Well, I feel like if she does look out, I mean, we saw what it did for Monday Night Football, right? Let's talk about kind of getting back to the discussion earlier, access to retail clients like myself. One thing where we've benefited, right, is transaction costs, which continue to come down. I mean, so that's a good thing. Also, I'm kind of wondering in terms of these products, Bitcoin, some of the other crypto products available. I've always heard this sort of pushback in terms of lack of correlation, right? Some people try and tie it to gold. Some of the other markets that we look at a little bit more closely that are a bit more widely adopted. But ultimately, that's what scares, I feel like, some traders like myself, again, away. We oftentimes like to lean on these correlations that Bitcoin just doesn't offer.
Yeah, Bitcoin has low correlations to overall financial markets. Its historical correlation to the S&P 500 has been below 0.5, closer to 0.25. But I think actually, from the investors we talk to, that's actually something that is quite attractive, because
compelling,
it offers a diversification benefit into your portfolio from traditional asset classes. And with the growth and that you're seeing in the asset class, that offers an asymmetric bet that is attractive to many. Putting an uncorrelated asset into your portfolio, great diversification benefits. If you think it has upside, then even a small allocation can be very meaningful in a portfolio over a long-term holding period.
Real quick, Juan, give us something to look forward to aside from the ETF into the new year.
A very exciting thing, even outside of Bitcoin, Ethereum, the second largest crypto asset, we think its revenues are going to skyrocket as people start using its applications in a more mainstream way. And we think what makes that possible is there's an upgrade in that network that is slated for next year, which will bring down the cost of transactions. Transaction fees on average on the Ethereum network right now are about 14 cents. We think that will drop by 90% plus to less than 1 cent. And that will really enable mainstream applications to happen. You think of micropayments, social media, large-scale gaming. All of that would become possible if those transaction costs are at a sub 1 cent cost. And so we think that is in the horizon for next year and beyond. And we're very excited about the developments there with Bitcoin and with other crypto assets as well.
Juan, very good to have you on the show here. Hope to have you back to discuss some of these predictions, the bull case you're creating here or laying out for us here, and price activity into the new year. Good to have you with us, Juan Leon, Senior Research Crypto Analyst at Bitwise.